that mic on? Lawyer / AV guy. Can you make the screen a little brighter? Yeah. No, don't turn the lights off yet. We'll get there in a minute. All right, it is the hour. At this time, we'll call our meeting to order. If y'all don't mind, please rise, and Councilman Alexander's going to give our invocation and remain standing right directly thereafter for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this day, Lord, the opportunity to come and discuss the town's business. I pray that you be with us as well today. Lord, that you just be with us, lead us, and guide us in all that we undertake here today. And Lord, may it all be pleasing in your sight. Father, I pray that you just lead us now by your Holy Spirit. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And Lord, I apologize for that thing falling off the daggum thing here. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you may be seated. Members of council, y'all will have our meeting minutes from the June 3rd meeting. Whenever y'all are ready and had a chance to review it, I will entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
Move to accept as presented.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander.
A second.
Second by Council Lady Austin. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And the meeting minutes stand approved. I will pass this down, Councilman Alexander, if y'all will sign that and pass it back around. Who was that? Please silence your cell phones if you don't mind, because I get easily distracted. I'm as ADD as it gets. All right, so next up we have the public comment. I'm going to make a request that we move that around to a more pressing matter, and that's going to be the matter of what was formerly Turner's Barbershop. It's on the agenda tonight to rezone that area. Turner's Barbershop, as you know, has been a long-standing barber in the community. I think from the time I was a little bitty tyke, I remember the little red seats, Jack. You remember the little red seats you'd stick up there? It said something about Tom Thumb or something like that I would sit on. He nicked my ear a few times. But anyhow, we're looking to rezone Jack Turner's Barbershop and allow nothing but a grocery store, preferably Ingles, to go there. Is that all right with you, Jack? He said, I'm retired, I don't care. No, in all seriousness, I want to congratulate Jack on how many years of service, Jack, to the Williamston community? 60 years of long-standing service. Is there anybody in the room who has not had their hair cut by Jack Turner? Raise your hand. All right, you got a few. What?
I have not.
That is heresy. Jack gives the best flat top. I don't know what we're going to do. Back when I had the hair tops, he'd say, he'd spin me around in that chair. He'd say, you look like a preacher now. And I say, I don't act like a preacher, but thank you. Jack, I want to invite you up, please. We got a little commemoration for you. We're not rezoning your barbershop, I promise you tonight. What we're here to do tonight is to thank you for the 60 years of service that you have given to dang near everybody in this community. We're thankful for you. We appreciate you. We wish you well in all the things you choose to do from here on out, and we're going to miss you greatly. We got a little something for you. I think we might even have some family members. Do we have some family members out there, Councilman Haygood?
Yes, I think so.
Can we get some of those folks to come up front with
If
Jack?
y'all would, come up front.
Oh, that's awesome.
These are moved out. There's going to be some hard liver in the field. Jack, we got a little something for you.
Okay, so he must be Jackie Turner.
That's Jack Turner, 2024, in appreciation of 60 years of faithful and dedicated service to the residents of the town of Williamston and the offer of setting your forward chair. Jack, congratulations. Appreciate it. Jack was a police officer in Williamston. What else have you done in Williamston? You was a police officer, you were a councilman too at one time maybe or something? He said he was gonna stay away from elected officials. But Jack's done a lot of good things for our community. We're grateful for him, and we wish him the very best in all he does from now on out.
I appreciate everybody. Here.
60 long years, good years.
We missed you, Jack.
My hair misses you.
I need a hair.
He said he is retired in barber here. Yeah, come on. And Miss Evelyn, his sidekick, she joined him what? She joined him a short time later after he got going, and she did a little trimming on my neck when I do. She ain't never did my hair like Jack did. So, I used to have a little mole right there on the back of my neck. Jack's also good at skin now, taking moles off. He took it off on more than one occasion for me. I appreciate you, Jack. We love you, and Miss Evelyn, we love you too. Thank y'all, the whole family. Good?
We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's up, buddy? How's it going?
We're not gonna rezone your bills. I don't know what you're gonna do with it, but there's something good gonna go there. We're quite certain of it. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. All righty, then, next on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any? Okay, next up is the special reports. Roberta. And Chris sends his deepest regrets. He's tied up today and is not unable to make.
Bobbers on Big Creek was a great turnout. We had 358 bobbers launched. The TV giveaway produced 369 registrations. Just quickly, 157 from Williamston, 62 from Elder, 7 was from Simpsonville, and it was his first time ever in Williamston. And he said he'll be back. He'll definitely be back. Currently, we have Shark Week going on with the kids' shark drawing contest. That's going on all week in honor of Shark Week. Mark your calendar. Saturday, July the 13th is the police department book bag giveaway right here at Town Hall. Saturday, July 13th through Saturday, July 20th is the kids' scavenger hunt. That's in the park. This year we're using QR codes, and one QR code will give you a clue, take you to the next, and all through the park, and you'll solve the puzzle. And then the kids will bring their solved scavenger puzzles to bingo on Saturday, July the 20th. Bingo is 1 to 3 here at Town Hall. We're doing that with Piedmont Post-Acute and Christina Ortiz State Farm. Our next big event is our End of Summer Bash. That is featuring Encore Band. That's with Chris Carr, and that's going to be from 6 to 9. We've got several cool water features to add, including a portable splash pad. We will award the shark drawing winners at the next board meeting in August, and that's all the events for July that we've got going on, which is a full month of July. But I would like to ask the mayor and council while I'm here, during the Freedom Celebration, we put misters on the little bench right before the Gene Taylor Bridge. and it was a great success. And so I've asked to get a quote for pricing on what it would take. The water supply is really close to there on the concrete, so I'm getting an estimate now to see what it would cost to run a water line to that little seating area, and then put a spigot on the inside where we can turn it off and on, and then maybe a timer for misters. So we can maybe have them turn on at 4 and go off at 8 or something like that during the summertime months. If mayor and council will approve it, then I'll take it to my board next Thursday night and see, by then I should have all the figures on what it would cost. And if they'll approve it, we'll go ahead and try to work on that immediately and get that in the park to finish up the summertime.
Yes.
Yes from all, or do we need to vote, or it's just a yes, go with it?
Anybody not in favor of getting quotes for a mister system? It should be fairly easy. If we've got,
Sounds like an in-house project,
That's-
something that we can handle in-house.
that's what I was thinking too. The misters themselves and the water lines, very, very cheap, very inexpensive. And if there's, the biggest expense would probably be a vault of some sort that you would tie it in, and you can use a sprinkler system, the same thing, and set it date and time for it to come on, and it would come on automatically. So
And
that,
we can even do battery operated and just change the batteries out monthly. We don't even have to worry about power
actually, the
there.
batteries last about a year. I've got the same
Okay,
setup
very
in front
good.
of my office.
Yeah, and so if y'all are okay with it, then I'll take it to my board with the estimates, and we'll try to get that installed as soon as possible to
Perfect.
get a little relief.
It should be easy.
And that's everything I have.
All
Quick
right.
question, date on bingo again?
That is gonna be July the 20th, that's Saturday, July the 20th, and that's from 1 to 3 here at Town Hall.
Thank you.
We've got some awesome prizes, including a tablet, an adult's tablet, and a child's tablet for the grand prize winners.
And I know we don't get the opportunity to thank y'all enough in Vision Williamston, your board, for what you guys do. You guys are amazing. Y'all do a fantastic job. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
The board is phenomenal.
I agree.
Thank you.
Debbie, you're up. More 4th of July stuff.
We had a great turnout this year for the Town of Williamston Freedom Event. Also for the 4th Annual Golf Cart Parade. It was, and all were great. First place winners were James, Meg, Cole, Heather, and Magnolia Norris, Madeline Lynette, and Amberlyn Jordan, and Miriam Wooten of Belton. So we're attracting a lot of people into our American flag and a first place plaque. The second place winners were BJ and Tori Tompkins and their grandchildren, Berkeley and Gunnar Milholland, and Rollins and Beverly Gray Barnes, along with their friend Addison Bond. They received a Maple Bakery gift card and a t-shirt. We really appreciate all who participated, and if you missed it, you missed a good one, because there was some very, very good stuff in the parade. Beautiful during all the activities. Thank goodness we didn't have rain. The town hosts 17 food and beverage vendors. I know they had something to do with Williamston too in the park. They were good. And an awesome concert was held at the ball fields featuring artists Tracy Lynn, Luke Smith, and Guy Friedman. Afterward, a huge fireworks show was enjoyed by all. We would like to thank these sponsors for allowing this great event to take place. Our top sponsors were All About Fabrics, Alltech LLC, Central Electric Services, Generac, Christina Ortiz State Farm, H&R Block, and Community First Bank. A kids area with inflatables was sponsored by The Laundry, the law offices of Bradley K. Richardson, Maple Bakery, Fiesta of Williamston, and Subway of Belton and Williamston. VIP tent sponsors were Ace Hardware of Williamston and Honey Pie, Beyond Air, First Citizens Bank, The Journal, and Easy Trip Marathon. Fireworks sponsors were Cox and Cole, American Legion Post 121, Jackson Stanley Realtors, Palmetto Business Association, Gray Mortuary, Main Street Liquor, and Knight and Martin Real Estate. We would also like to thank each of our departments and to all the volunteers who worked together for a common goal of planning and delivering this event that brought the community and surrounding communities into our town. They gave a great quality of life to those living in this area. To sum this all up, from Bobber's on Big Creek and the Freedom Market by Envision Williamston to the golf cart parade, car show, food trucks, concert with a Nashville recording artist, huge TV giveaway by Envision Williamston, inflatables, and to the excellent car show and fireworks show by the fire department, cleanup by the street department, and excellent coordination of traffic safety by the police department. Great job, all, in bringing one of the largest events that the town of Williamston has ever hosted. Media was done, social media was done, and I guess y'all saw that, right? I was for the reason. Thank y'all.
Thank you. We appreciate the update. Just to kind of put that in perspective, there was roughly $16,000 in sponsorships and close to $2,000 that came in from the food trucks as well. I think the total cost of the event was around $22,000. So that is great value for our citizens, and I'm so thankful for our sponsorships that came out and sponsored. As we were leaving that event, I had at least 3 people come up and say, count me in for $1,000 next year. I want to be in on this one. So it's going to be hard to top. That was I don't know, how many of you was actually at the event? Raise your hand, please. That was outstanding. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think anybody that was there thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, that's going to be a hard one to top, but we'll try again next year. All right, thank you so much for reports. I also want to thank our police department. They was out there in the heat all day, and I went out and actually met with them in their safety briefing, and I said, want to thank y'all for being here. And they were like, yeah, we didn't have much choice. It was kind of, it was a hot one, and they were out there doing what they do best, and we are so thankful for our police department, Envision Williamston, all that they do, all the volunteers, all our sponsors. Chris Trotter, let me tell you something. If you want something done in Williamston, he's going to worry the heck out of you now. He's one of my closest friends. But that man can get things done. He knows the people to call. He alone donated 3 or 4 generators that were there for the event, running the stage, running the bouncy houses. They did a phenomenal job. A lot of people are quick to give the person who sits in this seat recognition when things go well. And I want to tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. It's the staff that we have. It's the volunteers that we have. It's the sponsors that we have that really make things happen. My job as your mayor is to sit here and try to create a vision and try to implement that as much as we possibly can. But I want it known, the town does not have the staff to put on events like that. We just don't. We don't have the manpower to do it. It requires people such as Spring Water Committee that does Spring Water Festival, Envision Williamston, and others to come make events that are possible for our residents and those in the surrounding community. Thank you for all that y'all do. We're happy to provide support, but that's about the only thing we can do is provide support. Again, thank you. Next up, we have Chief Marcy, and I apologize, I just skipped right past you, but hey, at least I circled back around, right?
That's fine, Mr. Mayor.
Chief Marcy, you have the floor, my friend. I think that mic is on, if you don't mind grabbing it or at least talking into it.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I present Sergeant Hart, Lieutenant Moss.
Can y'all hear that thing? Tap it. There you go. Okay.
I'll speak up, Mayor.
There you go.
I'm not a quiet person. Hope everyone's well today. We have a few awards to give out today from the police department. A few of our people aren't here. Jason Thompson and Lieutenant Culbertson, they weren't able to make it today, but I just wanted to give a shout out to them. They'll be getting theirs at a later time. If you would, Mr. Grinnell, come up here and join me. Righty. This first award is a letter of commendation for Jeremy Grinnell for the events that happened on March 23rd of 2024 in the town of Williamston. We had a call that came in about shots fired at a residence. Well, with his quick action, he was able to get on scene and determine that the suspect was no longer on scene at that location and went to where the other suspect was allegedly at. He was able to obtain him, secure all evidence of the crime, and through his hard work and dedication, an arrest was made and a person was brought to justice for discharging a firearm in the city limits. And so I'd like to recognize Officer Grinnell and give him this letter from ourselves as well as this plaque for his hard work and dedication to his town.
Here, here.
Yes, sir.
Y'all probably don't need a picture, but we did anyway.
Chief wants one. Chief wants one.
Okay, Congratulations, my friend. Thank you.
All right. So I have two special awards that we give out, and we try to recognize officers who do an outstanding job here, not only in criminal work, but also in their community outreach. So we do something called an Officer of the Quarter, and these officers are recognized quarterly throughout the year. So for the first quarter, I can't think of anybody who displays the amount of hard work and dedication as the man I'm about to call up. And his attentiveness to people's needs throughout the community knows no bounds. He goes above and beyond to make sure not only further follow-up happens, that they're not just a call for service, it's a follow-up days and weeks on end to make sure that the work he did that day doesn't go, it's not lost. He follows through with what he does. That's what I'm trying to say. So, Officer Brito, if you would just step up here, and you are the first quarter officer of the quarter.
Congratulations, Officer Brito. Those of you who don't know, Officer Brito just celebrated a birthday. We were able to recognize him on the stage at our Independence Day celebration, and he did a phenomenal job. If you noticed, the flag was hanging that was unlit, became lit. Do you know why it became lit? Because he was standing there with his flashlight, keeping that flag lit up. It really displayed an occasion. It really fitted the moment. And as one Army veteran to another, who else? Thank you.
All right, well, right on to the second quarter. And this is a officer that works every day. I get to work beside him. I'm happy that he's not only an officer, but a friend. Cares about each and every one of us. And he cares about the quality of his work. He makes sure to pay close attention to every small detail on every call. He notices things even I don't notice, and I'm glad to have him here with us. So, Officer Grinnell, if you would step up here, you are officer of the second quarter.
Congratulations, sir. Again.
I'll be now turning it over to Chief Marcy for the rest of these awards.
Awesome deal. Thank you. So most of you who know me know I'm a transplant, right? Not from around here. Mayor says I ain't from around here. I'm originally from a little place outside of Louisville, Kentucky. And I get to go home and see my mom maybe once every year, 2 years. Okay. Once every year, 2 years. But I can promise you this, when I go back home, she's watching the first 48. She loves those crime shows. Well, she wasn't really keen about me becoming a police officer to begin with, but when she has questions, guess who she calls? Well, she had a question. Why do they call that show the first 48? I answered in this way. When you have a violent crime or a murder, the clock starts ticking because you start to lose evidence. Evidence starts depreciating. Memories fade. How many of you can remember what you had for dinner last Wednesday? Nobody, right? Well, it's the same way with witnesses' memories. So you start to lose what you could potentially gain. And if it's a dangerous crime, what happens? The guy's still out there, right? He could still hurt someone else, commit another crime. So it becomes so critical at that point in time, to follow every lead that you can to try to get the bad guy into custody. Well, it's at that time that you realize how blessed you are with the officers that you work with, their competence, their capabilities, and their dedication. All those are critical. The abilities to follow the leads, to investigate, and the dedication to stay up all night long, sometimes 48 hours at a time, 72 hours, depending on what that crime is. Well, that was the case on December the 13th in 2023, because on North Hamilton Street, we had an elderly female who was carjacked. Now, it was another day in the lives of these officers, but for that lady, it was a traumatic event. She had a knife put to her throat. She had her car taken. Well, it just so happened on that day there were a number of our police officers working. Within the first hour, the car was identified as traveling on 29 toward Williamston Road in Anderson. We quickly coordinated with Anderson, who, again, they were on the ball as well. The car hit another vehicle at Amity Road, and it continued to travel to Friendship Court, where it came to arrest and the suspect fled. Our officers quickly responded to that location. Now, that's why it's so important that it's not about the fact that you have an investigative team. It's about who you have on that investigative team. Because they were able to retrieve a knife, and within a matter of 5 to 6 hours, to collect fingerprints from that knife and identify a suspect. And also to quickly identify another witness back over here in Williamston who saw that person right before it happened. And within 72 hours, the suspect was in custody. Fantastic teamwork. And so tonight we're recognizing those officers, and that is Lieutenant Mulls, Lieutenant Culbertson, who is not here, Wes Smith, Josh Cobb, and Whitney Crawford, if y'all would come forward. Each one of these are going to say the same thing. But to these officers, it says, the officer's name is hereby awarded the letter of commendation in recognition of work and accomplishment in service to the community, particularly in the following manner. Whereas on December the 13th, 2023, during our agency's response to a report of a carjacking in the town of Williamston, the officer demonstrated exceptional professionalism and personal responsibility in their actions upon arrival at the scene with fellow officers. We thank each one of you for what you did. It was another day for you, but for the victim, it made a difference.
Congratulations.
Each of you are to be commended, and we appreciate your actions. Thank you.
Y'all move on up, squeeze in, Chief Marcy, if you get on the right side. Act like you like each other, act like you love each other. Great. Wonderful.
Just one more quick thing to say. If you notice tonight, I'm not the guy up here giving out all these awards. You know, it's one thing to be recognized, but being recognized by your peers How critical and how crucial is that? How great is that your fellow officers recognize the work that you do? But I want to thank all of you. Another thing tonight is, this isn't the night for his retirement, but I want to say we're losing one of our best, because on the 12th of this month, we're losing Wes Smith. Wes started his career at this department, and he left to go join the Greenville Sheriff's Office. And, you know, for a number of years he was over there, ended up as the legal advisor to the sheriff. I didn't realize that I even knew him until I pulled out my phone and looked up the name Wes Smith, and his number from Greenville was in my phone. But from the day that Wes has come here, I mean, he's truly been a blessing. He has done so much. We have so much on us now as a police department. We have so many standards we have to follow. You know, we have to meet standards with the Criminal Justice Academy, with our insurance company, with accreditation, among many others. Well, if it wasn't for Wes, we certainly would not have made it through our recent audits, because he had the foresight before all this began to start with the policies and the standards that were required by this agency. Now, I still have a few days to talk him out of it, and I'm going to do my best with the help of the team. I already got one wife mad at me, might as well have another. So we are going to try to talk him out of it, but you know, his retirement will be coming up, and I didn't want this night to go by without mentioning how blessed we have been to have Wes with us, and we're so thankful.
Let me also add that Wes is a brother. He's a friend, been a friend for a long time. For those of you who don't know, the town of Williamston Police Department is currently undergoing a very rigorous program to become accredited in the state of South Carolina. Why is that important? Well, most of your grant funding and stuff like that, you have to be accredited and be able to meet certain minimal standards, and those standards are not easy to meet. Wes has been crucial in making sure that we were in compliance with those standards, not only for our insurance company, but also through South Carolina, what is it called, Scalia? No, Scalia. Yep. So he will definitely be missed. It's my understanding he and his lovely bride are going to be moving to Florida. They're going to be sitting on the beach. He's probably going to trade in his trousers for a Speedo. But he will definitely be missed. Wes, we appreciate all that you've given to the town of Williamston. If we can ever do anything for you, you got my number, my friend. Thank you again.
It's been August the 8th. 2 years. August the 8th of 1982, Miss Frances Cook swore me in at the old town hall. My picture in the journal next week with Mike Rucker, and it's truly been an honor to serve you that time, but to come back and stay longer and reconnect with people like Jack, who cut my hair the first time, and other people that I got to know, and Rocky and I have a fraternal connection. Working with Chief Marcy, who I met when he was a detention officer at Greenville County. It's been just good to be back, and I'm grateful that y'all gave me the opportunity to come back.
Thank you, Wes. We appreciate you. We wish y'all the very best.
That's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to add a little bit to that conversation if y'all will indulge me for just a moment. One of the conversations that I've heard in our community and talking with folks as most of you know, there have been some recent events in Belton whereby they've contracted out the sheriff's office for their police services. And the question has been asked to me, Where is Williamston in this? Are we looking to do the same? And the answer to that is no, we are not. As long as we can continue to attract and retain qualified, high caliber individuals like what you guys just saw tonight, that's what we're going to do. And I want to tell you that for not just Williamston, but for every small town, Belton, West Pelzer, any of our surrounding communities like this, it is a challenge. It's a huge challenge. You can go to work right now with Highway Patrol making just under $80,000 a year. That's a lot of money. And folks, there's just not a lot of people going into law enforcement these days. And to be quite honest with you, I don't blame them. I spent time as a law enforcement officer, and the times have definitely changed. But I want our officers to know, and I want our community to know, we support our law enforcement officers. As long as they're doing their job to the very best of their ability, they're abiding by the law, they're doing what they can do, I will always have their back and will always give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to make sure that's clearly communicated. I think I speak for this entire body in saying that. Thank you to our police officers. If you look at what just was here this afternoon, you literally have decades of experience, decades of serving not just our community, but other communities. And we're so very thankful to be able to create a culture here at the town of Williamston whereby those folks will say, you know what, there's something special here in Williamston. They might not be able to pay the top dollar, but it's a great place to work. It's a great community to serve in, and we're super thankful for each and every one of them. We're thankful for our community for their support in our law enforcement officers. All right? Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. Old business, we have none. Are there any more committee reports? I don't think so. New business, item number 1, we have a resolution for Brookdale Park. I'll read that in its entirety. Whereas the town council for the town of Williamston seeks to improve and update Brookdale Park and the surrounding area located in the town of Williamston, and whereas the town council for the town of Williamston seeks to fund the improvements to Brookdale by way of Parks and Recreation Development Fund, or PARD, grant award, and whereas the Anderson County Council has the authority to accept grant awards, and whereas the Anderson County Legislative Delegation has endorsed a PARD grant award in the amount of $20,000 and no cents for the improvement of the Brookdale Park and surrounding area, and whereas the Anderson County Legislative Delegation requires a commitment from the town of Williamston prior to the official award of PARD funds, now therefore it be resolved by the town council for the town of Williamston that the town formally accepts a PARD grant award in the amount of $20,000, and additionally, the town will commit to providing a minimum of $5,000 in requiring matched funds. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept that resolution. Again, that only requires one reading. That will be sent to the county delegation, and we're grateful for our partners at the state level. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes, particularly Ann Thayer, who is she's getting out of politics. She's retiring. Our new and upcoming, I don't think there's any other election. I don't think Blake's got opposition. But Blake Sanders, former mayor of West Pelzer, will be our House member, it appears, come January 1. But we wish Ann all the very best. She's been a champion for our community. We're thankful for her. We're thankful for her support in our community, and we wish her all the best in all her future endeavors. At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept that resolution and provide $5,000 in match money to that PARD grant request.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Council Lady Austin. Looking for a second.
I will second.
Have a second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion?
Mayor, I have, am I correct that we have not decided, the council's not decided what to do with this money yet? This is for Brookdale Park, and we would decide at a later time, or am I incorrect in that?
That is correct. What my suggestion.
That's the one I never tell them. I'm calling. You want to tell them what you want to
Okay.
do with it?
When I was asked, what should we designate those funds for, I said, and I said, just so that we can get the process rolling, is to convert the old tennis court there into, a AAU football field, so that we can start to produce some foot traffic there, so that we can cut down on the vandalism there, and then we can get more use of the park, which would justify more spending when, when available.
And that's an outstanding, that's not only a desire, that's also a need. Our youth recreation program right now, I think they're using the soccer fields for that, and it's not very conducive. As you know, our soccer fields is kind of in a low area. It's a lot of ponding water. At times, it's not even playable. So that's definitely a need that can be addressed with those funds.
And I am in the process of having a football field, having that area drawn up and to show you what it'll look like. And I should have that in my hands within the next 2 weeks.
Fantastic. Keep in mind, there is do you know the timeline on that? If you got to spend it or you lose it, it's about a year. Okay. So
Mayor,
hopefully,
a follow-up to that.
absolutely.
Because I personally there are so many, it's a good thing, there's so many grants that we seem to get, and that from PARD and from other areas, and they're for different things. So I have a hard time keeping up with them, and I should do a better job of that. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but could you, but I'm going to, or ask you to anyway, could you summarize, if you could remember, maybe over the last year or two, what has been done at Brookdale, since this is a Brookdale resolution? I know there's been several recent things done, but I want to make sure I have them all right.
Councilman, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to go into great detail with photographic information a little bit later on in our meeting, if that's okay.
I'll withdraw that question then, and I'm certainly in favor of this resolution.
Okay, outstanding.
One last question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, is this grant for is it for $25,000 with a $5,000 match, which will bring us to $20,000?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And we have none opposed. Next up, we have Election Commission appointment. It's my understanding there have been 2 people who have expressed interest. We have 2 slots available on the Election Commission, and it is imperative that we get those slots filled before our November election. For those of you who don't know or are unaware, myself and who else? Who else is up?
Wards 3 and 4.
Sorry.
We didn't know what you were talking about.
Me and this side, we're all up for re-election in November should we choose to run. I did announce that I do intend on running again for this seat. If y'all will have me, if you don't, hey, that's great too. There's a lot of things I can do in life. I will say that this body has given 100%. Everybody that serves up here, while we may disagree from time to time, we're not disagreeable with each other. And it's important that I think that we have a cohesive body who's looking out for the best interests of the town of Williamston and all of its residents. So with that said, we have 2 appointments needed for the Election Commission. We have 2 people who have, we've twisted their arms, shook them a little bit, and we've got them to commit to serve on the Election Commission. Who are those? I know Saxon is one of them. Jamie Saxon and our previous mayor, Philip Clardy. Both of those have agreed to serve on the Election Commission. Both of them are residents of the town. Am I correct on that? Philip Clardy lives over on East 4th Street. Jamie's on Anderson Street or Anderson Drive? Okay. Who makes up the Election Commission now? That we have resignations of Rita Brown and Kelly Payton. Both of those are.
They were both the same one that were in the old.
Okay. But both of those 2, for their own reasons, have decided not to continue to serve. So that's the 2 openings. Those are 2 people that have expressed an interest. Again, it's imperative that we fill those positions. At this time, I will entertain a motion to fill those 2 slots available on the Election Commission. Again, Philip Clardy and Jamie Saxon. Do we have to do those individually, Raim, or can we do it together? All right. If there's opposition, just bring that up in discussion, okay? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to appoint those 2 to the Election Commission effective immediately, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Is there an expiration of terms? Okay. All right, effective immediately.
Make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Haygood. I think he was making a motion.
Yeah. We were making
He was
the same
interrupted by
comment.
Council Lady Austin, so she will second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And we have none opposed. The next is we have first reading on an ordinance to sell property located on Mahaffey Road in East First Street. For those of you who were at our work session, you'll be intimately familiar with this. I'll read it in entirety. Whereas the town owns real property consisting of approximately 39.54 acres located along East First Street and Mahaffey Road in Williamston, South Carolina, bearing county TMS number 248-00-08-008. Whereas the town no longer has public use for the said property, and the town council has determined that the sale of this property would be in the best interest of the citizens of the town. Whereas the town council desires to sell the property to Scout Realty Group, LLC, for the purchase price of $300,000 and no cents. Now therefore be ordained by the town council of the town of Williamston that the mayor is authorized to sell the real property consisting of approximately 39.54 acres located along East First Street and Mahaffey Road, Williamston, South Carolina, bearing county TMS number 248-00-08-008 for $300,000, and that the mayor may execute any contracts, deeds, or other documents necessary to effectuate the sale of said property. That prior to closing the sale, the town council shall approve the specific terms of the sale. At this time, I will entertain a motion on that first reading of that ordinance to sell that property.
So moved.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander,
Second.
second by Councilman Haygood. Any discussion? Okay, I'll discuss a little bit on it then. For those of you who aren't familiar, that particular property, originally during the previous administration, there was going to be approximately 90 homes to be built on that property, the same developer. Our council, along with the planning commission, has worked for now a couple of years. There's a contractual agreement there whereby that property was going to be given to Scout Realty in exchange for the development of 90 homes. We heard the community in and around Mahaffey and East First Street, and they were pretty adamant that they did not want high-density homes being built in there, removing all the green space. So we worked, being that it was town property, we could go above and beyond what the planning commission and the zoning ordinance required. So in addition, we made them go back, and they've got several iterations of what that property will look like. And the latest iteration is lots of green space. There will be an entrance in and out on East First Street as well as on Mahaffey Street. Debbie, you correct me if I'm wrong. A portion of the property will have a detention pond or a retention pond. It'll be a really, really nice neighborhood that's planned to be developed there. In addition, instead of the town giving away the property for the high-density development, we will actually receive $300,000 to effectuate that sale. Now, some of you, particularly who may be realtors, may look at that and say, that's almost 40 acres, $300,000, that's not market rate. And I would agree with that, and I think this entire body would agree with that. The problem is we currently have a contractual agreement that was started under a previous administration that gives the property away. The problem with that is it becomes very, very difficult, if not impossible, for the town of Williamston to be able to enforce what we want and how that property looks without some type of binder, monetary binder. It also has become problematic for the developer to actually develop the property if they don't own it. So they approached us and said, look, we would love to buy the property. They have confirmed with me they have approximately $100,000 in engineering, topography, and other things that have been involved with that property in order to get a design and in order to meet our requirements that council has set upon them with the green space, with all the things that the surrounding community has asked for. Once this property is sold, they still have to comply with the plan that they have agreed upon. So I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. With that said, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. We're still in discussion. Does any other member of council have any other comments regarding the sale of this property? Keep in mind, it will require 2 readings, so next month we'll have our second and final reading on this. Hearing none, we'll call to question. All in favor? And we have none opposed. Let me also add, too, that property was purchased during, I believe, Carthel Kraut's administration. I was just an ordinary citizen looking, when the town purchased that property from Milliken. That's also is the property that Brock Lane is currently on. I believe the town purchased it for $100,000, maybe $120,000. It wasn't a large sum of money, but to me as the average citizen, I said, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Why in the world is a town buying that property? Well, that property saved our hind ends. I can admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong at that time. When Gatewood subdivision, it washed out, that was the property that allowed us to build a road very quick and easy so that those residents could go in and out of their subdivision. It also became a prime area for development, not only with this project, but also with Saratoga Oaks and Saratoga Villages along Brock Lane. So that's a little bit of historical context. And great apologies to everybody who voted in favor of that. Tony, you was probably here. I apologize. Y'all were right. I assume you voted in favor of it. All right. I believe that is all that we have this evening for our meeting.
Let me clarify real quick, the election commission for a 6-year term.
Okay, the election commission will be a 6-year term, at which time they can be reappointed should the body decide to do so. All right. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order before I get into my good of the order? All right. So if you will notice, we've got a screen behind us. There's some things that I would like to talk to you about as your mayor that will address some things, I hope, that have been circulating in the community, particularly in and around Brookdale Park and Mineral Spring Park. For those of you who don't know, who may be living under a rock, we announced that the town of Williamston was the recipient of a $750,000 earmark in this year's state budget. And I want to thank, again, Representative Ann Thayer. She's been a champion for our community. She came to me and she said, look, we have done a lot of things for Belton. We've done a lot of things for Honeypath. Williamston we've just basically overlooked you guys for a little while. This is your year. Tell me what your need is and how we can meet that need. In other words, if you had a wish list, what would that wish list look like and how can we help you in that wish list? So I reached out to several folks that are in the design of playground equipment and other things, shelters and so on and so forth. We've had a master plan that was developed for Brookdale Park around the fall of last year. And I want to share that with you, what that master plan looks like, in particular Brookdale Park. As you can see, Brookdale Park, this is about the current layout of it now. You got a baseball field here where my mouse is at. You have the existing restrooms. You've got an existing shelter. And right here is where the current basketball courts are. All of this right here used to be tennis courts here, I think, Councilman Haygood. Am I correct on that? Correct. And all of this area right here is currently undeveloped. For those of you who are unaware, a master plan is basically a bird's eye view that says this is what we would like to do. And when you're doing a master plan, you don't think about money. You have to take money out of the equation and you have to basically be creative, think of the community needs, and that's where you start developing that master plan. This master plan has been sent to all the council members. They're all aware of this master plan. And in addition to that master plan, has everybody seen it where I can close it out? All right. In addition to that master plan, we also have a preliminary cost on what that would take to make a dream come to fruition, if you will. That dream that we all agree would be a wonderful thing is close to $8 million. Okay? That's a lot of money. If money grew on trees, hey, we'd do it tomorrow. The problem is we all know that money does not grow on trees. So the idea is to take one bite at a time, do what we can, and continue to make continuous improvements to Brookdale Park in addition to all of our other parks as well that the city is responsible for. Okay, let's talk about the shelter concept. I reached out to a company called Churchich Recreation. Churchich is well known in the state of South Carolina to have the latest and greatest stuff. Think downtown Greenville. If you see their parks, their playgrounds, with the exception of Unity Park was a terrible installation job. But if you think of other commercial grade, high-end equipment, that's what they install. And they're the state's premier folks who install commercial equipment. This is the current layout, or basically a concept of what that shelter at Brookdale Park would look like. I want to make sure everybody sees that. Can y'all see it okay up there? Can we kill the lights? This is also a shelter rendering. This is what was shared on social media of that rendering of the shelter. This is also something that we had talked about a lot, about how we could improve signage. If you were to ride down there now, and I don't think there's any sign there that says Brookdale Park. So I had the designer add in, through here would say Brookdale Park and Shelter 1. If we go back and look at the overall master plan, there's more than one shelter there. There will be multiple shelters eventually. But this is what we were able to do in this earmark, this go-round. And again, the request that was made to the designer was to have something very similar to this that would be, would look good, it's attractive, it's less likely to get vandalized, or traffic run over. You know, that if you were to put a sign on the ground, I can guarantee it'd be run over, hit with the lawnmowers, so on and so forth. This would say Brookdale Park and would have Shelter 1 on it. At some point in time, we would love to see that be an area that we could lease out like we do the shelters in Mineral Spring Park. If you'll look at Mineral Spring Park, all of those shelters are wooden shelters. Now, it's on social media, I've had several people ask, well, how did you determine what the need was? And I'll be happy to explain that. If you look at the shelter pictures, and these are of today, this is what the current shelter looks like at Brookdale Park. As you can see, it's not a terrible shelter. It looks very similar to some of the ones in Mineral Spring Park, but it has some pretty major structural issues, and I'll go into those and explain here in just a moment. As you can see here, that's one of the posts. That is termite damage. The solution to fix termite damage, these are actually 4x4 posts, was to just cap it. Just cap it with 1x4s, 1x6s.
Just get the termites more wood to eat.
It gives them more wood to eat. That is not something that that can be ignored for a long period of time. Hey, I got a little arrow button. I can just do this. Again, more evidence of termite damage. You have some structural issues with the slab there. This is obviously a trip, fall hazard, so on and so forth. And there's quite a few people who gather there for family reunions. I've been to a couple myself there. That again, this does not. It's not an area where you go, you know what, I really want to have my family reunion there. It's an area that needs attention. And the question was asked to me, how do you determine where the money gets spent? It's very simple. It's the need. What is the need? What is the greatest need? How can we accommodate those needs with limited funds? I dare say that anybody would argue that this shelter is in need of replacement. Councilman Cole, you asked a while ago what were some of the things that have been previous PARG grants, and most PARG grants are typically $5,000. This year we were granting $20,000 with a $5,000 match. Most of the time it's $5,000 with a.
It's usually 10. The last few used to go with 5, but the last several we got 10.
Okay.
And we have to do 2,500. So
Gotcha. So they're around $10,000 to $12,500. One of the things that we had done was we had all new electrical wiring put in. And again, this is as of today. We have definitely got to do some work on that just to continue to have it the way it is now. That's unsafe. These were brand new boxes put on and brand new metal fixtures that have been damaged and vandalized. Same thing here is what we're looking at as well. Same thing here. You actually have one hanging out of the box. I've got my staff working on that. We don't have a team of electricians in the town of Williamston. I want to make sure everybody understands that. It's typically guys like myself who know how to flip a breaker and can, affect that repair. Again, more termite damage, and then that is the existing. So the question was, what is the need? I think we can all agree that is an absolute need, and I think it's important. Councilman Hagan mentioned we want more foot traffic there. We want use of that park. I can go by Mineral Spring Park any hour of the day just about and see kids playing, activity. I go by Brookdale Park, you might have one or two people there. We want to change that. I want to see more people utilizing and enjoying the amenities there at Brookdale Park. These are some pictures of the current playground in Brookdale Park. As you can see, this is the manufacturer Landscape Structures. You do not buy that at Walmart, contrary to what you may see on social media. Landscape Structures is a commercial firm that specializes in commercial outdoor play structures. That is what you have currently in Brookdale Park. If you will notice, Brookdale Park also has the latest in rubberized fall protection there. That's not ordinary mulch that has to be replaced each year. That's actually very expensive rubberized mulch. And again, I'm not telling you this to say we can't make improvements. We can and we should make improvements. I'm telling you what drove my decision and where the need was at. Again, you got more of the mulch there. If you look at the wear and tear on the playground equipment, it's still in very, very good use. Obviously, it's much smaller than the Mineral Spring Park's current playground equipment, and it's also much smaller than the playground equipment at that's scheduled to go in at Mineral Spring Park. And I'm going to try to address all concerns as I possibly can. So that's looking at the current situation at Brookdale Park. Now, I've had several people ask, they say, well, when we go to use that slide, it burns. It's not shaded. Well, the time I took this was probably 2 o'clock today. And as you can see, there's some shade on there. But one thing we could certainly look at doing is providing a sunshade or something like that over the playground there at Brookdale Park to improve it. We constantly want to be improving our parks as budget allows. Okay? So you see the current status of the playground, you see the shelter. Obviously, in my opinion, and I'm probably not the smartest guy in the room, it's most obvious to me that the shelter is the number one thing to replace in Brookdale Park.
Mayor, quick question. Did you have a picture of the basketball court?
I do. We're getting to there in just a second.
Okay.
So some of the other questions that was, let me see. Recent improvements. That was some of the questions that you had asked, Lee. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things that we're doing, I don't like. For example, if we go back to that Brookdale Park shelter, you're basically putting lipstick on a pig, if I'm being honest with you. And if you'll notice here, one of the grants covered sod here. As you can see, that sod has just washed away. It looks terrible. This area right here was beautiful, green, sodded. The wear and tear on it, the drought-like conditions we're in now, this is not something that I'm happy with, Councilman, if that's what you're asking.
And now let's add, and being honest, when that was done, nobody was taking the initiative when we were in a drought to go over and water it. So that contributed to that. It was watered for about 6 months. They would go over and water it every day. They have not done that, and there's no irrigation system over there. You have to trust me on it. It was watered. But one of the issues, and we'll go into more detail. If you've ever tried to plant grass or sod where there's water oaks and live oak trees, they absorb pretty much every bit of nutrients. And that's one reason why we can't get grass to grow in Mineral Spring Park. We have dumped topsoil after topsoil after topsoil after topsoil load in Mineral Spring Park to try to get grass to grow. And when you surround those trees, it just doesn't work very well. So again, one of the areas was the sod. There was a berm built up right in around this general area. We had a landscape company come in and do that, sod this area. We had gutters put on, and the electrical was replaced with LED lighting in the shelter. I think that was all done at the same time. Michelle, am I right on that? I'm pretty sure that was all just one singular grant. All right, so let me go back and do other stuff.
So one of the other things we spent money on was a camera system. This camera system has 5 cameras on it that watches the restrooms, which are consistently vandalized, the basketball courts, the playground, as well as an overall shot of that area. That we were able to get that system for approximately $5,000, I think is roughly what it was. Me and my company installed this for free, along with the help of town staff and the town workers were able to get that stuff up and online. By the way, Charter did get us online today.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. Are they back up and running?
Supposedly, I haven't looked at it today. There was a hiccup with Charter, but we can now access those cameras remotely. They've always been online, so we could review footage. We just couldn't do it remotely. This is the current restriping. One of them was addition of basketball goals. The old basketball goals were terrible looking. The grant funding that was available was not enough to cover installation and all that goes with it. So myself and town workers went out there, removed the old basketball goals, installed those goals, and then the latest improvement was actually restriping of these courts. Now I'm going to tell you that I reached out to no less than 10 separate companies that do blacktop, seal coating, and restriping. I got one bid back, and that was from a company that also works with the school district and come highly recommended from the school district. If you will look here, you will see grass growing up in the cracks of that. I don't like that. I was very unhappy with that that bid that came in and the quality of the work that was done. In my opinion, that grass should have been removed. Any type of debris in those cracks and those cracks sealed prior to the application of that blacktop sealer. We have that company also. We got our bid and we signed the contractual agreement in December of 2022. This was completed when, a month ago? 2 months ago?
2 months ago. That was done the third week of May.
And they have said they will come back and remedy this. However, I have not yet seen them. I was
Can
at
we
a,
also add, excuse me for interrupting,
Please.
but can we also add, the same company, the same week, did the sealing and repainting and restriping of Town Hall. I went out there and I took a look at it, took a picture of it, immaculate. Then they go over to Brookdale Park and they do that. Was it mistake or mindset?
don't know. I can tell you that the sealant that they put in here prior to the application of the blacktop took place probably in January or February of 2023 here at Town Hall. And then they came back and done the actual blacktop coating about 2 months ago. So why they didn't do this, I don't know. I can guess, and just like I told you previously, that maybe the cracks weren't wide enough to warrant a actual hot, what they call a hot melt sealant. I don't know. I'm not an asphalt guy.
I take a look at both locations. Cracks the same size there as they
Okay.
were here.
Again, I don't know. I'm not an asphalt guy. What I can tell you is I'm not happy with that quality of work. What you see here in the what looks like a darker color here in the cracks, that's actually where our guys came back and applied weed killer to be able to kill that grass. And I've asked them to come back and clean those things out and blow it out in preparation for this company to come back and do a proper sealant in those cracks. But again, that is that's a contract failure. I'm not happy with it at all. I did go back and look at the signed agreement. I believe Mr. Rogers executed that agreement at my request. Town Hall does have cracked sealant in it, what they call hot melt. Brookdale did not. Why they didn't, I don't know. I just asked for it to be done. Again, I'm not an asphalt guy. I asked for it to be done in the appropriate way, and it is not included on there. For whatever reason, I don't know. I never met with him, but I did talk with him by phone and made it abundantly clear what was asked for. We didn't ask for hot melt here either. It was just, that was what was done. So next up, you have lighting went in at Brookdale Park, and I don't think you can see one of them here. There's actually two posts with lights. That was also another grant. That those lights were installed. in our conversation with council, one of the things that we all agreed upon was in Mineral Spring Park, when those pickleball courts were built and that area became lit up, guess what? Our vandalism rate dropped dramatically. And the reason being is you had activity there and you had lighting there. Lighting makes a big, big difference toward vandalism. When those lights went in, one of my biggest concerns was the neighbors that live right directly across from it, because I'm telling you, it's lit up like the 4th of July over there. I was concerned they would not be happy with it being lit all the time, and maybe we need to cut them off at 11 o'clock or some reasonable amount of time. In my conversation with those residents, they are thrilled and have been overjoyed that we were able to get that lighting in there, and they want them to stay on during hours of darkness. So as long as they want that, that's what we'll keep on doing. That also makes the court playable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So two of the things that we did to help curb vandalism was lighting up the park, putting something nice and new in there, and cameras. Those things are a big, big deterrent. In addition, if you look at those cameras that I showed you earlier, you also have blue lights that are there, that they get your attention. If you're riding through at night and you look up, you know, hey, somebody's watching you, or everything you're doing is being recorded. In addition, we also added a pedestal out here, so 50 amp, I believe, or 60 amp pedestal that will allow for food trucks or multiple food trucks to be able to come in for events in Brookdale Park. You'll actually be able to pull up, connect up in here, and have events with food trucks. So we thought that would be important, especially while we're going ahead and doing the lights. That was something that we did not get a grant for. That was actually above and beyond what the grant would allow to be paid for. So those are just a few of the improvements that have been made in Brookdale Park in the last couple of years. Next up, we will look at Mineral Spring Park. Let me look, see if there's anything else. System, playground, shelter. Okay, I think we've covered all those. Mineral Spring Park, let's take a look at it. This is your current playground. And again, I'm not here to diminish Brookdale Park, Gray Drive Park, Veterans Park, any of our parks. They all have serve a purpose. They're all valued. But when people have asked me what drove that decision, it's very simple. It's need. I ride through Brookdale Park or Gray Drive Park, I see 2 to 3 people a day. I want to see 200 to 300 people a day. And we will do that, do everything we can as money allows. If money just grew on a tree, we could take that master plan and implement it tomorrow. The problem, it does not. This is the current state of Mineral Spring Park, the playground there. As you can see, there is absolutely zero fall protection there. The town goes in once a year, which, by the way, we could have done. I've told them not to do that yet. It makes no sense to make that expenditure when in a month or so, this is likely to go away and be replaced with a new playground. If you will look here at Mineral Spring Park, you have trip hazards with roots, and again, we have tried everything. It's particularly in this area. We've dumped sod, we've put dirt. Grass just does not grow in that area. I don't know what the status is, but the plan is to replace this playground with the latest and greatest ADA compliant, all inclusive, and I'll go in a little bit more detail here in just a moment in my closing remarks. But as you can see, that's the current status of the playground. It gets tons and tons of usage. Again, landscape structures. That's the exact same manufacturer as you noticed the smaller playground in Brookdale Park, which again is in much, much better shape than the one in Mineral Spring Park. It makes sense because Mineral Spring Park gets hundreds of thousands of kids playing on it a year. More pictures. This is our effort, and it's a noble effort, to try to make something for our kids that are handicapped. But let me tell you what this ended up being. Again, a great idea, and it's very noble. This body agreed to purchase this handicap swing, but you want to know what it is now? It is a sled, a steel sled, that is a hazard to anybody and everybody who's on it who's not in a wheelchair. This is one of our slides. This is not from vandalism, folks. This is actually wear and tear from little kids' hind ends going up and down the slide. More wear literally wore through the plastic. Does it still have use? The answer to that is yes. That playground could be removed and could be repurposed in one of our other parks. The problem is, in talking with the consultant that is helping me out with the playground, he said it would cost more to remove that playground and reinstall it than what it's worth, and you're still left with something that's non-ADA compliant. If you install something today, it has to meet today's standards. Okay? This was installed, I don't know when, I don't have any record of when, but it predates Brookdale's playground. It's much older than, I wouldn't say much, but it is most definitely older than Brookdale's playground. With that being said, if we were to repurpose that at Gray Drive or Brookdale, guess what would happen? The community would be in an uproar. Why are we getting hand-me-downs? And it would cost no less than $40,000 for that company to remove that and reinstall it somewhere else. That is not a good investment for the town. Would it make sense for a church or some other organization who would like to have that playground that has the manpower to come take it down and re-erect it somewhere else? Possibly. In talking with this body, I asked at our work session, is anybody opposed to us just taking sealed bids? We take sealed bids for it. If somebody comes up and offers $1 million for it, they can have it. And the company that's installing the new equipment was going to charge us $20,000 to dig it up and get rid of it, to dispose of it, literally landfill. So it makes sense just to put it out to public bid, let whoever wants the playground remove it, rather than us trying to repurpose it somewhere else. This is our new playground renderings. As you can see, this is a device where if you're in a wheelchair or whatever, you can go up and actually participate in activity with kids who don't have a disability. It's all inclusive. You can go up here. It's got a handicap ramp here. You can go up here and go right onto there. There's lots of things to do for those who are handicapped or who have disabilities, including disabilities that may be autism or things like that. It's designed specifically for those type of environments. $200,000 of those funds will be going toward turf, and that's artificial turf, which, by the way, there's been some comments on social media as well concerned about PFAS. David, what's the term of the chemical that don't ever go away? David Rogers. PFAS, the chemical never, PFAS. It is PFAS free, so we don't have to worry about chemicals leaching into our beloved mineral spring. We can still drink the spring water. There is a specification directly from Shaw, who is the manufacturer, that certifies that turf will be PFAS free. Okay, this has fall protection. It is easily, not only is it more aesthetically pleasing, but it's easily maintainable. You literally take a leaf blower and blow the leaves off. If a kid falls off of there, they fall onto a cushion. It's actually layers of fabric. You have stone, you have sand, you have a membrane that has some fall protection, and then you have the turf. The turf has a 10-year warranty on the turf as well. So those are some renderings of the playground. In addition, I never thought that I would actually be justifying the expense, but I shall. I typed up some notes, and I'd like to read those to you if you will indulge me for just a moment. There's been brought to my attention some concerns that have been brought up on social media, and I'd like to address inaccurate information that's been circulating on social media regarding the allocation of funds between Mineral Spring Park and Brookdale Park. First, it's crucial to clarify some misconceptions. While there have been discussions about the financial investments in both parks, The figures circulating on social media are not even remotely accurate. However, I do acknowledge that more funds are being directed toward Mineral Spring Park than Brookdale Park at this time. Allow me to explain the reasoning behind the decisions that I've made. And by the way, those were my decisions. When I talked to our delegation, they asked me what the need was. Those were the immediate needs. When our council allocates funds for park improvements, we do so based solely on the needs of each park, not based on a geographic location, demographics, or socioeconomic statuses. Mineral Spring Park, being the most utilized public park in our town, has long been in need of significant upgrades. The playground equipment there is worn out. It poses safety concerns with its lack of fall protection and ADA compliance, and is not inclusive for all members of our community. The planned upgrades to the playground at Mineral Spring Park are essential to ensure that all residents, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, or ability, can enjoy our public spaces safely and equally. On the other hand, Brookdale Park has also seen improvements in recent years as part of a broader master plan for the area that was created last fall. Projects such as the installation of dusk-to-dawn basketball court lighting, basketball court restriping, and the new CCTV cameras have already proven to be successful in reducing vandalism and improving safety, and each of these upgrades have been met with positive feedback from the neighbors that live around the park. Our next planned improvement at Brookdale Park is the replacement of the aging shelter, which suffers from structural issues and previous termite damage. The decision to upgrade to a commercial-grade, powder-coated steel polygon shelter was made after careful consideration of funds available and the desire to enhance the park's amenities for all visitors. It's important to note that playground equipment at Brookdale Park, while smaller than Mineral Spring Park, meets current safety standards and is from a highly reputable commercial playground manufacturer. Claims that it is substandard or Walmart grade or inferior is simply not true. In addressing concerns about fairness and equality in park funding, I want to emphasize that the approach is driven by need and community benefit. Each park is evaluated based on its current condition and the improvement necessary to meet community expectations and safety standards. Let me be clear. The town of Williamston does not support nor condone any segregated parks, regardless of the park's geographical location. We are committed to ensuring that all of our parks are welcoming and accessible to everyone in our community. Moving forward, we will continue to prioritize park improvements based on community input, safety considerations, and available resources. Your feedback and engagement are vital as we work to enhance our public spaces for the benefit of all residents. I thank you for your attention and for your ongoing support for our town and its parks. Together we can ensure that Williamston and its public parks remain a vibrant and inclusive community for generations to come. Those are my thoughts. Those are my words on Brookdale Park. Now, that being said, I have a contract on my desk to make those improvements that I highlighted here tonight. I have not signed that agreement yet. If I've explained and I've laid out the needs and the desires based on the need, nothing more. If this body wants to do something different, I'm perfectly okay with that. But I'm going to leave it up to this body to make that decision. In my opinion, and I'm just one person, and I'm human. I have faulty opinions from time to time. My wife will tell you that. She ain't smiling. You keep acting like that, you ain't never going to find a good husband.
I would also add to that, at the park over here, the shelter that was put up, Alltech also did that. And they were recognized at a national convention for being hometown heroes because of all the work that Alltech did.
My point being, I love this town. I love this community. Not one section of the community, the entire community. I don't know the history of Brookdale Park. I'll be the first to admit. I am ignorant of a lot of things, meaning I just don't know any better. But what I do know is I can drive through, look and see issues, and all of them I can't address. I wish I could. What I do know is that there are most definitely community needs, and I will do my best to try to meet those needs as funding allows and as this body allows me the leeway to do so. With that being said, we don't typically do this. If council will allow me, I don't mind for some public input, for folks to actually tell us what they think about things. I'd love to hear from our council members what their thoughts are. And at the end of the day, before this meeting closes, we need to have an agreement of what we're going to do. Some comments have been made about, well, why does the shelter at Brookdale, you're talking about replacing the playground in September, October of 2024. Why is the shelter at Brookdale going to be pushed out to 2025? Folks, I would love to have it done tomorrow. I don't control when shipping is. What I will tell you is that and I'm going to read so that I don't mistake and tell you something that is untrue, directly from the folks that are doing the installation. He said, I asked him again this evening, I said, I need to make sure we have a timeline. He said, I would think the first week of December, possibly 20 weeks. Now, let me explain. This shelter is built for that site. It has engineering. It is literally engineered for that site. With it being a physical structure, it has to go through permitting. He had time in there for permitting to go through CC&I. You can't build a house you can build a playground, but you can't build a structure without it going through permitting processes and engineering. I've assured him we have CC&I in-house that handles our building and codes. We will push that project along as fast as we possibly can. He said, I'm waiting on you. You get me the colors, I'll get you the engineering design, and we can get permitting ASAP. I said, okay, tell me if we push all this along and we're able to make this happen, don't worry about the city side and permitting. We'll handle that. We'll get it done for you quickly. He said 20 weeks on the steel. Again, you have to manufacture it, you have to powder coat it, you have to ship it. That's the time he's looking at. And I've asked him, are there other manufacturers out there? Yeah, there are. But you know what? I could call a guy to go put up a pole barn, and we could probably get it done next week. Is that really what the community wants? I don't think so. I want something that's going to last my lifetime and beyond. That's what you get with a steel shelter. It is a beautiful, nice steel shelter. It is an area where everybody will be happy to go congregate and enjoy all the amenities that Williamston has to offer. We are a blessed community. Sometimes I don't even realize how blessed we are. If you live here, you kind of take for granted a lot of things that if you really step back and look, we are a blessed community. And I'm honored and blessed to serve you as your mayor. But it's extremely frustrating. And I saw Roderick here a little bit ago. I want to apologize to him publicly. I let him get on my nerves. I ain't gonna lie to you on Sunday. And a lot of it was maybe he just didn't know. And so that's why I brought this information here today. And I got really, really frustrated with him because I'm giving this job all that I possibly can, all that I have, to the detriment of my family and to the detriment of my job. I love this community with every fiber of my being. But I don't have the energy to fight people over things that are obvious. And I don't have the time to explain every decision made, especially on social media. If you have a question, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call me. I saw today where, I told Roderick that shelter is approximately $150,000. I see today that people are saying it's $40,000. No, it's not.
That's what was, sir, and I'm not calling you a liar, but that's what was discussed in the meeting between you, myself, and the contractor. He said $43,000 is what he said for that's the projected cost for the picnic shed, and then $443,000 for the playground equipment. It's exactly what he said.
Okay. I don't doubt that, Councilman, and I appreciate it, but also understand too, in February 27th of 2024, I sent it out to the entire council. That was that quote. This quote right here. Everybody got it. Steel frame, $29,000. Primary roof, multi-rib, $7,645. electrical access, that means holes cut, so you can run electrical. That's not the actual electrical. $36.50. What you don't see, and what's also included in here, there's no installation. This was if we were to do it ourselves. There's no concrete pad, there's no picnic tables, there's no nothing. All of that combined,
That's why on social media I did put projected costs.
I understand. This went out to the entire council. It says, Rocky, this is what the shelter would cost at Brookdale Park. This does not include demo of existing or installation of new. I would budget another $40,000 for demolition. That alone's $40,000, guys. I'm telling you, the projected budget is $150,000. Councilman, you asked me that question. You and I sat down in my office, and I don't mean to be confrontational. We're a cohesive body. We've always been a cohesive body, but disinformation is not appropriate. You and I sat down. I told Roderick what that was. If you had a question, you should have called me and said, Mayor, this is not what you told me. Where are you coming up with that information? And I'd have been happy to explain. Instead, in the community, it looks like we're not a cohesive body. It looks like the mayor's a liar. I just don't like it. I don't have the time and energy to deal with it. If you'd like to look at the quote, this is the actual formal quote in highlighting. What is not included is the demolition, concrete, site work. As you could tell, there was if you look at the pictures, there was tons of issues with site work. There was drainage just going across the pad. It's debris across there. That includes site work, electrical, and footers. The total budget is $150,000 for that shed. I communicated that clearly to you and Roderick. That might not be what you thought, but that was what was communicated to you in person. With that said, this is all public record. Anybody is welcome to look at it. And again, I appreciate every member of this council. Each one of y'all brings a perspective that there's no way I could do this by myself. No way. We've got a staff that's helpful. We've got a body that cares about this community. There's not one single person up here that's sitting on these chairs that does not care about this community, the whole community, not just one area of town, not just another area of town. We don't always agree with each other, but we love each other and we respect each other. And that's important. It's important to Williamston for now. It's important for our future growth, that we're open, candid, and honest with each other. That's all I'm gonna say. At this time, I would ask, is there any other comment, public or here, that would like to comment on what we've talked about in closing?
Mayor, I had a couple of questions, if I
Sure.
may ask of you, or I assume that you have the answers to these. So is it, just to clear it up then, what we're budgeting is $600,000 approximately for the playground and $150,000 for the shelter at Brookdale? Is that the approximate figures? And that'd be $750 total.
Councilman, I think I wrote this down somewhere on one of my notes. On the actual, it's actually going to come in a little bit over budget to be. You're looking at $755,974.79, excluding concrete, electrical, lights, footing, site work, and demo. Excuse me, that does include that, but that was excluded from his quote in here. The total amount, if you figure in ADA tables, again, that, Councilman, that was not included on the original conversation. The installation, electrical access, he did include that. Shipping and engineering included that. Erection of the shelter, footings by others. We still got to put footings in the ground. Site work by others, concrete pad by others. It does include the permits. That total, minus concrete, electrical, lights, footings, site work, and demo, is $81,290.70. There is a total budget of $150,000 for Brookdale shelter, including the site work, concrete. There's 6 8-foot ADA tables. This ADA compliant, so folks with a wheelchair can get up to the table. I did not show pictures of it, but I think we even have broken benches at Brookdale. Am I correct on that? I think we do. Some of the concrete's broken. And there's just no way to repair that, or no good way to repair it that I'm aware of.
And Mayor, the cost of things is shocking to me, and I think it probably is to many in the community, that people are like me, or maybe everybody knows better than I do. But I understand how much things have went up, and we see these figures sometimes. It's just shocking. But we do understand the. I think in people in my business, I don't order materials and have a lot of labor and things like that. But there's some people like you have probably seen that firsthand in recent years.
Councilman, I can get fire alarm control panels, the guts of it, all day long. I can have it shipped here overnight. I cannot get a steel can that all the guts of a fire alarm goes in, which is my business. It takes me 8 to 10 weeks just to get a can. I don't know why that is, but I'm just telling you that's just the nature of the beast.
And Mayor, also, so it sounds like we're probably not going to have any of the grant money left over when this project is all done. But if something great happens and we do have money left over from this 750, it's my understanding that this was an appropriation given to us for the purposes of parks and recreation, so that we will be able to use, if we have money left over, we will be able to use that on something else that has to do with parks.
Councilman, it is
in that fantasy world.
The earmark is written in the state budget as improvements to Brookdale and Mineral Spring Park. It is very loose. As long as we use it for that application, there's no issue in that. I can tell you that my conversation with our delegation, particularly Ann Thayer, I gave her specifics of what the intention was to use. And again, this isn't something that I just woke up one morning and go, you know what? I think I'll do X, Y, Z. This is something that Councilman Haygood and I have met out there. We've decided that the next step was a shelter there. Granted, there was no conversation about replacing the playground at Mineral Spring Park. That was not a conversation that I've had. I don't even know that we've had that conversation as a body. I don't recall it. But when the opportunity presented itself, what I do know is that people on social media and otherwise, that's one thing you can say about me. You might not like what I've got to say, but I'm accessible. I will listen to you, and most of the time I don't get too bent out of shape. But I will at least listen to the community concerns. The concerns that I have heard was directly related to Mineral Spring Park Playground that is aging. Tim is constantly up there making repairs to it because a lot of the parts are moving parts that are mechanical. When you've got hundreds of thousands of kids each year playing on that thing, it's going to have wear and tear. That's just the process of it. But I don't know that we had that specific conversation. When the opportunity presented itself, and that was an opportunity to make a difference, I said, you know what, that's the thing we need to do. To answer your question, the actual playground is $358,537. That is the playground itself. We're going through state contract. That keeps us from having to bid that out. We can choose the contractor as long as they're under state contract. They will allocate a $71,707 discount. The installation of the new equipment, Mineral Spring Park, is $99,000, and the turf installation is $200,000. And again, that's all simply for to make sure that the kids that are playing on it, it's inclusive and it's safe for them to play on. If this body wants to take the entirety of that and place it at Brookdale, I'm okay with that. One of the things that we want to do is make Brookdale a more welcoming place. I'm not sure if you turn Brookdale Park into Mineral Spring Park, that's really what the residents that live around there want. I don't know. They may. One of the concerns that one of our community members expressed was gentrification. If you were to build a $750,000 public park, what do you think is going to happen? Again, the city does not control when people choose to sell their homes, move away, to take a profit. I can't control that. And as a free market, we should not be controlling that, in my opinion. And again, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I do know that the more we do there, the more people will be attracted there. And if that's what the community wants, that's what we want to give to them, if at all possible. The only thing we have to contend with is finances. And again, the town generates money out of hospitality tax that I would be more than happy to take that next step. Maybe it's another shelter. Maybe we have shelter 2 and 3 gets installed. We could likely even have that done at the same time, maybe even save some money. I don't know. But in my conversation, the next step, and the next logical step was replacing that shelter. That is the immediate need. It's obvious that's the need.
Mayor, is the quotes that we have, do they include the fence at the Mineral Spring Park around the playground, or would that be something else?
It will be something else, and that's something that we might ought to look at doing the same thing at Brookdale Park. You know,
So that'd be a future project.
that is correct. I do plan on having the fence put in at the same time we do that, and that would just come out of hospitality tax.
So, Mayor, if, I guess just to end, and one other concern that was brought up, and I think I know the answer to this, but if in the construction, every effort will be made to save as many trees as possible. Is that correct?
All right, there's no plans to take any trees down, all right? Let me make that perfectly clear. I've heard that too. I'm glad you brought that up. The site plan for the new playground will encompass the exact same footprint that we have there now. Now, with that said, I have not been there physically to go inspect the trees to make sure that they're in good condition, they're healthy. What we'll probably do is have an arborist look at them. Obviously, if the top's dead in them, we probably ought to go ahead and take them down before we put in a new playground. So I will have somebody look at those and make that determination, but there is no plans to take it down. We do not have to take down trees to put the playground where it's at. Also, the toddler playground that's currently in Mineral Spring Park will remain there. There's no plans to do anything with that.
And Mayor, one final, and I don't want to take up a lot of time.
I'm here for the night.
Just a comment into our residents here, and then watching as a councilman, I am committed personally to improvements on our parks. If I walked around, I'm sure all of us could do it. We walked around Mineral Spring Park, I find 100 things I'd like to do and refurbish and make look better. I do the same thing down at Brookdale, the same thing at Gray Drive. So I'm committed to as much, whenever we can get the funds, to do as much improvements as we can. And this is one grant or earmark that we got, but I hope that there's many more in the future. And I know that the town is constantly working to get those. Like I say, we get so many sometimes it's hard to keep up with. But this, just because, I guess the point is, just because something is not included in this money doesn't mean that it can't be down the road, is the way I look at it.
I would agree 100%. Let me also add that the town of Williamston, to my knowledge, and I went back as far as Marion Middleton days, senior, I have not been able to find where the town has ever received a state earmark, ever. So this is a big deal for Williamston. It's a chance for us to make a difference. And I want to make sure everybody really understands our parks are open to anybody, everybody. Nobody cares what you look like at the door. Our parks are open, and it does me great joy to see people of all races playing together, to interacting with one another. Like I told Councilman Haygood a while back, when racism is a problem, I don't think any reasonable person would disagree that racism is a problem. That doesn't start when you're 35 or 40 years old. It starts when you're small. The more opportunities we have for our children to play together, to love on one another, the better off we are. I probably ought to shut up now, but I'm just going to tell you, some comments were made about equal. That makes no logical sense to me. If we're talking about segregated parks, yes, it ought to be equal. But we don't have segregated parks, nor do we want segregated parks. What we have is public parks. To be quite honest with you, Wendy will tell you where I took my kids to play was Brookdale Park. Why? Because it's smaller, but they got nicer playground equipment. I don't like being around a bunch of crowds. That was the place where my kids would go when they would play. I want to keep that area a area where people want to go visit and where people are attracted to. And one of the biggest uses of that park that I have seen has been family reunions, events where people gather together. That shelter needs replacing. There's no reasonable person that can't tell me that don't need replacing. We have the opportunity to do that. And I'm grateful to Representative Thayer for her efforts in making sure that happens. And I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder, but just so you know, there's other things coming as well, particularly to our historic African-American community that are coming that, again, I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder, but know that there's other things in play as well. With that said, is there any member of council that has opposition to the plan based upon the needs presented tonight? If there is, speak now, because it is my intention to execute that so we can get these projects underway in the most expeditious manner. Our community has put out strong support for these projects, and while there's some opposition, I think most of it is simply just don't know, and they're legitimate questions. There's nothing wrong with asking the question of how is the funds appropriating. It's very simple, the need.
I have no opposition.
Councilman Alexander.
I have no opposition.
Councilman Haygood.
No, sir.
Councilman Cole.
I have no opposition, and I know this would be what would happen anyway, but just to ask the question, again, if there are any funds left over, that's something that we will look at in the future.
Absolutely. I can tell you almost unequivocally, with almost certainty, there will not be funds left over. And the reason being is this is a contractual agreement. This is what it cost. There's no, again, there's a couple things that aren't included that we've got to provide ourselves, such as the concrete pad, the footer, and the electrical. Again, most of the electrical I'll be doing myself. I'll be pulling the cable and tying it back in, putting in LED lights, and we've mentioned ceiling fans. Guys, there's things we can do too that are minor improvements that make a big difference. Who wouldn't love a shelter with a ceiling fan in today's weather? I would. Ceiling fans are how much? They can't be that expensive. We'll throw a ceiling fan or two in there as well. Some comments was made about the playground at Brookdale Park not having a sunshade. We can do that. We can do that right now. That's not that terribly expensive. It's 4 posts and some sunshades from Amazon. We've done it before. It's not that complicated to do. I'm glad that this discussion was had. I'm glad things like that are brought to my attention, because we can absolutely do things right now without having to have a meeting to debate it. You know, if there's concerns about a park, hey, bring it to me. Say, hey, what can we do? And I will do my best. Y'all know me. I don't know there's been any concern anybody's had that we have not at least made an effort to address. We're not good at everything we do. We're definitely not good at cutting down trees. We're not good at certain things, but we make an effort at being good at them. All right? Does anybody have anything else good for the good of the order? I feel like I just talked my daggum lungs off. I thank y'all for staying and listening to me. It means a lot. And again, y'all pray for this body. Pray for me that I'll continue to make decisions that are in the best interest of the town as a whole, and not let things bother me. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm human. Things bother me on occasion. And like I said, I want to apologize specifically to Roderick Houston. I don't know if he's still out there or not, but I'm publicly apologizing to him. All right. Anybody have anything else for the good of the order? If not, we're proceeding to close. Do I have a motion on the floor to close? Motion on the floor by Council Lady Austin, second by Councilman Alexander. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?